Geegah is a startup in Praxis Center. It came out of my group at Cornell, and Justin Kuo, who is the CTO, is co-founder. And our basic technology is to realize very small wavelength ultrasound waves within the silicon wafer. It's particularly a CMOS silicon wafer, where you can imagine this is a silicon chip with all the transistors, and we add these aluminum nitride piezoelectric transducers to generate bulk waves that can go through the silicon and reflect off the opposite side. By going to gigahertz, we can get very high resolution to 4 or 5 microns in principle, but right now we're around 30, 40 microns. CMOS compatibility allows very low cost. All of the RF things, transducers and receivers, are all miniaturized. And because we are imaging on the backside of the chip, the packaging becomes much more simple, and it reduces cost also. And because these are solidly mounted, there's low cost. Also because you don't have to have a release layer as you do in other MEMS things. Because this is 5 minutes, I was just gonna quickly just go over our latest results that we've taped out this chip earlier this year, and we just got it in 130 nanometer CMOS. You can see 128 by 128 of these transducers. Each transducer can send a wave down. This is the PC board. And when you, how do we use the devices is that we want to image things that are really tiny and hard to see otherwise. For example, we want to see nematodes in soil. This is a project funded from ARPA-E and also the Gates Foundation. We also want to see other things in soil, but predominantly nematodes. There's really no other solution to see nematodes in soil. We want to solve the long-standing problem on fingerprint sensing, where you want high quality spoof-free fingerprint that can work in very wet and dry fingers. And also we want to add functionality to CMOS by integrating clocks. So that's the sort of the top view. And with that chip that I showed you, these are our first fingerprints with Justin basically pressing all his fingers onto the chip. You can see the fingerprints. We can even see the sweat pores, which is something very hard to do with other fingerprint sensors. We are also been able to see nematodes. This is a cis nematode. It used to be a female nematode that dies with all the eggs, and then all these little nematodes come out. And we can see these nematodes in our ultrasonic imager, and therefore we can now claim we can see these tiny things with sensors embedded in soil. Overall, I will end with this chart where we started out Geegah with the presumption that we would end up being a biometric company, but a biometric fingerprint sensing companies, and we're definitely on that path. But we also discovered that we could look at nematodes. We were able to get traction with the Gates Foundation and ARPA-E, and we were able to raise money from Google X for the timing application. And DARPA is funding us to do other projects. So we think we are onto a very cool new kind of imager. Like you think of a camera, you could think of Geegah creating these chips with different number of pixels. And these pixels would create different images, and these could be downloaded in all your favorite AI tools. And therefore, we do think of this as at the edge computation element, because these chips not only image, but can do a lot of the AI processing at the edge of the internet. So I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we have time for a question. Someone put in the chat box, Roger asked, what is power consumption?
Yeah, so that is a good question. And because we're operating our pixels at 1 to 3 gigahertz, or even higher, the immediate sense you might think is that, oh my God, each pixel is going to consume milliwatts. So if I have 16,000 of them, that'll burn the chip down. Except the thing is that the transit time of our pulses is very short. It's about 190 nanoseconds, and you're only turning on the little pulses for 50 nanoseconds. So if you imagine duty rate of 30 hertz for a good imager, 100 hertz, you're turning on the pixels for only 50 nanoseconds of that 1/30 seconds. It's very low duty cycle. So our power consumption estimates are around 2 milliwatts to get these images. In fact, it's lower than what you would get at lower frequency ultrasonic imagers. It turns out that the voltage you need at higher frequencies is lower, and the power is proportional to V squared.